Yo, what's going on, guys? Jay here, and today I wanted to do a little reminiscing. I wanted to talk about some of my essential songs and albums from the SoundCloud era of rap. Gonna be talking about roughly 2016 to 19, that whole era, all the artists who were on Double XL at the time. Let's talk about it. Be sure to let me know in the comments who some of your favorite rappers were coming out at this time. Who are you still listening to from this time? And overall, was the SoundCloud era good or was it bad? Because it was very hated at the time, it still is. But what do you guys think about it? But yeah, let's talk about it. All right, first of all, I want to talk about a little sleeper song, "Lil Boat" by 88 Glam. I don't. Any of you guys remember that song that went, "I felt like I'm Lil Boat with the ice." This is that song, and yeah, this was a great for that time. We also got "My Shit" by A Boogie, of course. Now this was more of the end of the SoundCloud era, at least what I would consider. But we do got to talk about the Baby's run with "Baby on Baby." He had a bangers like "Baby on Baby," like "Suge," like "Babysitter." And I mean, yeah, this was a great run for him, honestly. I mean, we all see where he is now. Career is pretty much dead in the water, but his first out, not his first album or two, but his first like mainstream albums, "Baby on Baby" and "Kirk," were pretty solid. Now, one of my favorite rappers in 2017 for a period of time was Smoke Perp. Now, Smoke Perp is obviously not a good rapper, but during this time period, he had some bangers. You look at his album, Bless Yo Trap with Murder Beats, and you got songs there like 1, 2, 3, and Do Not Disturb with Lil Yachty and Offset, and those are both bangers. Block is Hot and Capo are also some late SoundCloud classics from NLE Choppa's come up. Man, when he was coming up, he was a rapper that I was listening to since he had like less than 100K monthly listeners. Like, watching him come up was great. Again, he's really not that good of a rapper. Like, I don't really listen to him now, but especially Capo, man, that was a big song for me back in the day. Carry by Landon Cube and Lil Skies. Those two had classics together. Lil Skies, again, another one of my favorite rappers from this time period. Lil Peep had some bangers in this time, rest in peace. I was never super into him, but songs like Save That Shit and The Awful Things I love. We also gotta talk about Lil Goddess, Lil run at the end of, I think, like 2019 with Crazy But It's True. It was like the same time The Baby was coming on. You had tracks like Gunna and Water, and low-key, that whole album was a slapper. If you haven't listened to it, I'd recommend it. Very solid. Creeping by Lil Skies and Rich the Kid, that was a banger. That was like, I want to say summer of 2018. That song was huge for me. That Stick by Rich Brian. Banger, of course, Rich Brian. Another one of my favorite rappers at this period of time. And this is the song that really got him hyped up. Gospel, too, with XXX Tentacion and Keith Ape, I believe. Another banger. 6ix9ine was, of course, doing his thing at this time with songs like Billy and Gummo that were low-key bangers. Again, 6ix9ine was pretty big around this time. Regardless of everything that's happened, it's undeniable what he was doing, especially out in New York. Going back to Smoke Perp, we gotta talk about the songs that put him on, like Audi, huge banger from that era. Phantom as well, another song that I fucked with off that first Dead Star tape, which actually is a pretty good album. Like, it's not amazing or anything. That's a little SoundCloud classic to me. Pick It Up with Famous Dex and ASAP Rocky. I mean, this is really the song that got me into Rocky. As you guys know, as you can see, ASAP Rocky is my favorite rapper, and man, when I first heard this track, I knew Rocky was different. His flows were crazy on there. Holy. Brief shout out to Die Lit by Cardi. I'm not really going to talk about it here because I didn't like that album at all in 2018 when it dropped. I didn't become a fan of Die Lit until earlier this year, to be honest, and there are hella bangers on it, but that was not in my rotation 4 or 5 years ago. Drip Too Hard was huge in this time, put on for Lil Baby and Gunna Hard, changed their careers, although I was never the biggest fan of that song. We gotta talk about Every Season by Roddy Ricch. I mean, that was the first song that really got him on in the mainstream. I thought it was a banger. Again, we look at where Roddy's career is now, but he had a huge moment off of that song. Real quick, shout out to Blueface. Definitely a terrible rapper, but he low-key makes some bangers. Tatiana, Dead Looks, that album Famous Crip he dropped is not like that bad. Like it's definitely not good, but it's not that bad. Blueface is a rapper I've always low-key I enjoy it on the low, little guilty pleasure. I don't listen to him that much now, but when he was coming up, yeah, Blueface he could be on the aux, you know. But well, we gotta talk about Ned Flanders by ASAP Ferg, Made in Tokyo. That was huge when it came out. From the D to the A by T Grizzly and Lil Yachty. Going off by Lil Skies as well. Another again, Lil Skies, I said, one of my favorite rappers at this time. He was really on a huge single run at this time. Going Off was one of my favorites, and there's probably a few others I'll mention. Juice WRLD, of course, was coming out at the end of this era, more so. You know, tracks like Wasted, Black and White, Lean With Me, Lucid Dreams were all popping off at this time. Goodbye and Good Riddance overall. SoundCloud classic, for sure. The low-key slept-on song that people don't talk about anymore, the No Jumper track with TK and Block Boy, hard. This song is a banger. I was bumping this hella when it dropped. I don't know if any of you guys remember this song. Let me know. OD by A Boogie with the Hoodie. I didn't start fucking with A Boogie heavy until this summer, really, similar to Cardi. But OD was a song that I really liked by him when it came out. That was again like 2018, like around the end of this era. I Like Girls with PNB Rock and Lil Skies. That was the only PNB Rock song I ever really got into. Bank Account by 21 Savage, of course. Trippie Redd at this time was also another one of my favorite rappers. Life's a Trip, great album or good album from him. I'm not gonna overrate it, but like songs like Wish, Dark Knight, Dumbo, some of my favorites. We also got some highlights from Lil Yachty here. Not the biggest Yachty fan, but tracks like 6'6" with Trippie Redd and Boom with Ugly God are fun little bangers to me. Lil Pump at this time, back in 2017, he was honestly one of my favorite rappers. I think his first tape, the self-titled Lil Pump tape, is a good album. Now, do I listen to it these days anymore? Nah. You know? But songs like Back, songs like At the Door, songs like Flex Like Ooh, some of the more underrated cuts from that album were big for me back in the day. Molly as well, some of my favorite tracks from him. We also got to talk about Lil Uzi, who is the most notable rapper from this time period. I could list off a bunch of songs by them, but for the most part, you guys already know it. I mean, Lil Uzi Vert versus The World, Love Is Rage 2, The Perfect Love Tape, and the first Love Is Rage. All albums that define this time period for me. I was a huge Uzi fan back in the day as well, especially right when Eternal Atake dropped. But man, talk about someone who really carried 2017 and 18. Or 2016 and 17, I should say. Long Time by Lil TJ, another one of my favorite singles from this era. Huge Lil TJ fan, 3-4 years ago as well. There's also Trippie Redd's classic song like Love Scars, Poles 1469, and Can You Rap Like Me, which were, again, huge tracks for me back in the day when they came out. Oh man, you guys remember Bands by Shoreline Mafia? That was another huge track. Just the cadences on that, OGZ's delivery, hella smooth. T Grizzly also was having a moment, 4 or 5 years ago, a First Day Out, No Effort. No Flockin' by Kodak. Another huge moment from that time. Noticed by Lil Mosey. That was again towards the end of the SoundCloud era. Lil Mosey's career, again, pretty dead in the water. His music did not age well with time, but Noticed was a huge moment, and that was a banger when it came out. Same with Mo Bamba by Sheck West. So I was never as into that, to be honest. Cardi also had self-titled coming out of this time, tracks like Magnolia, Woke Up Like This, and New Chop. I actually did fuck with pretty heavy at the time, are still in my rotation heavy today. Not Magnolia as much, but some of Cardi's best early songs. And going back to I think 2019, the end of the SoundCloud era, Pop Out by Polo G and Lil TJ. Another huge track for me. huge. That song put me on. I was already on TJ at that point, but that song is what really made me huge fans of both of them. The Race remix by TK with 21 Savage and Young Nudie low key slept on track from that time. 21 as well also had his other low key hits with like No Heart, X, and Savage Mode. Those guys as well with his second album, Shelby had that was a super viral moment. Love that song. Man, remember during this time, I think like 2017 or 2018 when Joyner Lucas was coming up and he was dropping those collab tracks with Chris Brown. Those were fire. Stranger Things, I Don't Die. They weren't necessarily from like SoundCloud, but they were from that same time. And that was again like that was low-key really random and really weird, but they were onto something. They had some heat coming. Leaked by Lil TJ. That's like Lil TJ's most classic song, his most classic SoundCloud song as well. And man, that you can't skip that song when it comes on. You just can't. Like everything about it. Comethazine was also around at this time. I always loved his The Walk remix with A$AP Rocky. I always thought that was a fun track. Now, another rapper that a lot of you guys have probably forgot about is Rich the Kid. And man, The World Is Yours, the first one at least, is actually a good album. There was a lot of songs at this time that I was fucking with when it came out. Like at least half the track list. There was the hits like Plug Walk and New Freezer and Dead Friends, but there was also sleeper songs like Early Morning Trapping, End of Discussion, No Question. Rich the Kid was really early on. He was on a run. He also had Splash, and that was on the second The World Is Yours. That was a pretty big song as well. We had the beginning of Corday's career with his My Name Is freestyle and other Lucy tracks like Alaska, Kung Fu, and Target that were all bangers. Ski Mask and X are the last people I want to talk about because they, of course, dominated this era and were also two of my favorite rappers at the time. I don't really listen to them at all anymore. It's been years, really, since I've listened to either of them. But again, I mean, if you know these two, you know everything that they've contributed to the SoundCloud scene. You know all their classic collabs and also all their classic solo tracks. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I just really wanted to take a little stroll down memory lane, appreciate some of my favorite songs and artists that I used to love back when I was first getting into rap, when it was that SoundCloud time and rap music was changing and a lot of people hated it, but I was one of the young kids loving it. And I mean, yeah, it's a cool blip in time to revisit considering a lot of the trends that came with this music have died off to a degree. A lot of these rappers from this era have died off. None of them are as big as they once were, as sad as it is to say. But yeah, again, let me know what you think, what your favorite rappers from this time period are. Is there anyone you wish I talked about more that I didn't get into? Besides people like Lil Xan, because I'm not talking about him. Yeah, appreciate you guys for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe and get notifications. Like, comment, share. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace.